Welcome to the STARS program, seniors taking active roles in society. And now, here's your host, ANITA FINLEY.
There's a saying that when someone passes away, lots of emotions come forward, but one thing that you do realize is you are alone, and sometimes it's suddenly alone if the person hadn't been ill with cancer or something, that they had a prolonged illness. But when it's short, it is shocking and suddenly alone, and it's, as our authors Ken and Donna Wright said in their book, Suddenly Alone, a personal guide to prepare yourself and your loved one for when you are suddenly alone. Their book is invaluable. It's like a cookbook in a sense, from buying the right pot and pan or buying the right utensils to all the way of preparing the meal and putting it on the table. That's kind of an interesting way to go to this, isn't it? But thank you very much for being here, Ken and Donna Wright. And your book is extraordinary, and I know we have to get it into everybody's hands. That's really what we have to do. So let's talk about your book, and I know you've been on the show before, but let's ask about why this even occurred.
Why the book occurred? Oh, Anita, that's a beautiful story. As we had mentioned last time, and then I'll let Donna get into it, but Donna's stepdad, Ray, was a CPA, and he kept marvelous figures in a notebook of what their assets were, who their medical providers were, where their treasured belongings were, and what their wishes were for when they were no longer with us. And Donna, being the executrix of Ray's estate and her mom's estate, was taken through this notebook with Ray. And when we went through the passing, Ray's passing, Donna was able to use that notebook as her guide, and she never missed a beat. And you want to take it from there, Donna?
Yes, my stepfather died suddenly, and death and aging are really difficult topics to talk about. And when a loved one tells you that they have a notebook that could be used at the time of their passing, it's kind of scary to hear them speak that way. But I was very patient, and I went through the notebook with my stepfather, and I was able to see when he paid his bills, who he paid his bills to, what his medical history had been, what his wishes were in terms of handling the funeral and his burial wishes. And so when the time came, I was fully prepared, and I knew the best thing about it all, in spite of the sadness of the loss, was knowing that I was carrying out his wishes.
That's really beautiful. And I had the advantage of being, everyone knows who has listened to the radio show before, that my wonderful husband Bill did pass away, but I was the person that managed all the business, and I managed. But even saying that, I have to tell you that there were a lot of things. I mean, there are a lot of payments that are taken out of your bank account automatically. And you have to really think about that. And then how do you get them stopped? And do you get them stopped in time? Well, they have to have death certificates. And even the thing that happened with our funeral arrangements, they turned out not to work the way we planned. And so we had to go to different funeral arrangements. There is no easy way when someone passes away. But your book covered at least what I would call the black and white, things that are definite, that no matter what, they're there. And I just can't thank you enough, and I just hope everyone, whether you have a ill parent or a well parent, whether you have family members, they need to read this book because, like I kept saying, my husband's 93. Did I not ever believe he was going to die? I mean, it's like we never face that. Like when your father-in-law did this. It was your father-in-law.
My stepfather,
Your stepfather,
actually.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
I mean, it's like, sure, don't talk about it. But yes, we have to talk about it. We have to make the plans, and it does make things easier. So the fact that both of you wrote this is really a very, very interesting. Tell me what part you did that you felt more comfortable with and what you did actually in this. I mean, I know that when you write a book together, there's got to be someone's got to take more charge or something. So, Ken, what was your part in this?
Anita, you're absolutely right and very perceptive. This was a joint effort, but we each had it evolved into a basic part. Due to the wonderful job that Joe Karp did for us with our Living Trust, we thought it was important that people at least have a roadmap and a plan for dealing with life's important documents. And so I did the estate planning portion of that in the front. I like to say if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. But when you need to deal with somebody's estate, you need a roadmap and you need a plan. And so we started giving these presentations to people at our church to deal with that. And so I did that part of it. And then we got also into healthcare and living well. And then Donna did that half of it.
Yes, I started my section by talking about how do you want to have your body cared for upon your death, because only you know what you want, how you want that situation to be handled. But then I thought, well, let's not think about death. Let's think about living well so that we can put off that time as long as possible. So I chose to call the section in the second part of the book self-care, because it's really important that we live a healthy lifestyle. And also to be able to document how we live each day so that if someone's going to pick up and carry on in our absence, they know how we're living our personal life. So the first part of the second section includes a discussion of your personal life. How are you handling your financial affairs? Much as Anita mentioned, are you paying your bills online? Are you writing paper checks? Are payments automatically being deducted from your checking account to pay for your utilities? These things need to be documented in a template. And our book is made up of about 30 templates, which we ask the attendees to complete after they've finished reading the book. And we give step-by-step instructions about how to fill out each template. And we hope that the individual, after completing the templates, will put them into a loose-leaf notebook and use acetates to hold copies of the important documents and specify where those important documents are kept.
And I'd just like to interject one thing. We want people to buy this book, but we don't want them to rip the templates out. So we have said 3 places in the book. Send us an email to suddenlyalone3@gmail.com, and we will email you an electronic version of the templates that you can fill in online and print copies of. We'll do that free for you. So don't tear the templates out of the book. Email us and we'll give you an extra set online.
I accept.
Good. We'll definitely
I accept
do that
because
for you,
there's
Anita.
still so many things that, I actually am going to read your book again because, I read it in order to review it, but now it has different has different aspects that I probably have now forgotten that I need to get into. And I know Joe Karp has called me and said, when are you coming to see me? Because now a lot of things that we have and prepared, there's no bill. There's no William Finley in it. We got to move things around. And I haven't quite done that yet. And I'm kind of holding.
So thank God his company is there.
Yeah, I know.
He is so good at that.
I know he is. And he's been a friend. But then I have other things that, and I don't remember if you said it in here. When someone passes away and the first part of it, you got to do things and you just are on a track. Well, I was going to have some dental work done, some kind of serious dental work. And so the dentist said, okay, well, why don't you come in and we'll do it next week? And I said, okay, because I'm always a person. And I got to thinking and I said, no. I'm not doing that now. That's too much stress on my body. And I called him. I said, maybe a month or 2 I'll call you, because it wasn't absolutely necessary. It was just some different reconstruction I had to do. And so those are the kinds of things that you have to, it's part of self-care too. It's part of, all right, so what is all this about? And I haven't, other than my mother dying, I really haven't been faced with death before. So this is like a real shocker, real eye-opener for me. It's been my business. I talk to people, I counsel people all the time, but it's never happened to me before.
We keep getting such great, you're absolutely correct, Anita. We keep getting such great feedback from the people who've either come to our seminars and or read our book that their comfort level and their confidence to be able to know where things are for their relatives who have passed, and what to do with them, and how to finalize the estate without a whole lot of worthless energy and running around and just not being very efficient. To do it in a calm, knowledgeable way, because this roadmap was filled out by those who passed. It's truly one of the greatest gifts you can give your heirs. And that's what kept us going on this. And we keep getting feedback after feedback that our original thought on this was absolutely correct.
I just want everyone to know, when you're listening to our interviews, it's Ken and Donna Wright, W-R-I-G-H-T. They are authors of Suddenly Alone, A Practical Guide to Prepare Yourself and Your Loved Ones for When You Are Suddenly Alone. You know, Don, there are probably more people that have baby books that they filled out than anything like this. See, that's a fun thing to do. You know what a baby book is, of course. And this is not fun to do. It's important to do. And it will make, what it will do, and I really thought about this, it'll give you time to relax and mourn your loved one and not be in such a furious state of making sure you're getting everything done.
Yes, and we found that it worked well for two people to take a look at the templates and decide who wanted to fill out which ones, and then kind of work on it independently, but sit down together and talk about the material that they were referencing, and also the material that they wanted to document on the templates. And the fact of just discussing it with your loved ones is really important.
Okay, how about now doing obituaries?
Oh, who knows
yes.
you better than you? Write your own obituary. Other people, there's some things I would really like people to know about me that, because I'm fairly modest, I just don't wear on my sleeve. But I'd kind of like people to know some of the joys and milestones I enjoyed creating in my life, and that's going in my obituary. So write your own obituary while you're still fresh in your mind. Go ahead, Donna.
I was so fortunate in that regard. My stepfather had, in fact, he died suddenly, as I mentioned, and I was fortunate he had written his obituary, and he'd already selected a picture. So I was able to get the information into the newspaper in a timely fashion, and so the appropriate people could be notified.
So, Donna, what kind of a man was he that he was so good about all this? I heard about his credentials, but what was he like inside?
Oh, he was a very caring person. He met my mother playing bridge in a singles bridge club, because my mother had been divorced for 10 years, and I don't really know how long Ray had been divorced, but they met playing bridge, and that was something that brought them together. And he never had children in his first marriage, but he treated each of my mother's 4 children as his own. And he remembered us definitely in his estate. We were all treated equally. It was always important to my parents that each one of us should be treated equally, both in the way they raised us and in the opportunities that we were given, and also when they passed on in terms of the estate pieces that they left each of us.
And then where was the funeral and the memorial held, and how was that done?
Oh,
is this too personal?
No, not at all. The story about my stepfather was, he said, I don't want a service in the church, because at this point he was in his late 80s, and he said, I don't have too many friends that are still around, and I don't want a service where no one comes. So we as a family respected that, but decided instead to have a graveside service. So it was for family and very close friends and our minister. And each of us had an opportunity to say something, but my husband Ken actually made most of the remarks at the service, along with the minister. And my brother, who couldn't attend, he sent an email, which was read at the graveside service. So in that sense, we honored his request completely. In my mother's case, she was very modest, and she never really specified, but she did complete what we call a living wish, and that's something I talk about, that while we are alive, we should express what our wishes are. And she wanted any donations to be made to our church in lieu of flowers, and my family made a selection of flowers for the service, which was held at our church, but in her case, a reception was held in the church fellowship hall. And friends and family, primarily people from the church, people that my parents had played bridge with and had known for many, many years, attended.
Yeah. So, see, those are the things that you were fortunate, and because you were so involved in this, that you did this. But if you go back 30 years, this would not be anything that you would even be thinking about.
And often we find, too, it's some people choose not to follow their loved ones' wishes. We've had cases from our experience where if a person says that they want to have their body treated in one way and the family says, no, we would rather have a coffin or inter the body. Everyone, based on their religious feelings and their background, may have different thoughts on the subject. That's why we say let's honor the wishes of the person whose body it is.
Right. I don't like that. I think that's wrong. It's not for...
Yes,
don't you agree?
Yes, I do, Anita. And one of the things that's so valuable in this book, we have 35 templates in there, but the one that I think is most important is the one with the last wishes, because that is a legal document that will hold up in court. And a lot of times, sibling children, and so on, and don't all agree on what to do. And this gives the adult in the room an opportunity to say, here's an enforceable document. This is what we're going to do. Without that, it's whoever wins the argument that gets their way. So it really brings sanity to the situation and respects the wishes of those who wrote them.
His daughter came down. He only has really one daughter, and she came from Portland. And they've been very close. They talked all the time. And before she left, she stayed with me for a week. Before she left, she said, I wanted to ask you something. Did my father leave any message for me or leave anything special? I said, no. I said, he didn't know he was dying. And I said, he's talked with you all the time and you knew who he was. And I said, I have some things on his desk you can have. You have this little plaque that says this, or you can have a sweater. I'll give you any of these kinds of things. But no, he didn't say anything. But you knew he loved you. And so I was thinking about that as you were talking. And maybe someone should say, just like you said, what someone meant to them. I mean, she would have liked that, I'm sure. But I just assured her that, listen, he was a man who, when he spoke to you, you knew he loved you. He did everything for you. And that's the way he loved you. But, so anyway, because he left so much for me. And I guess she felt, was there anything for me, for her. But so as you're talking, I'm saying, well, I think maybe that's something that people should think about. Just, a couple of sentences, and that's what you were talking about, I believe, weren't you?
Absolutely. That, and their own burial services, but in addition, here's what I want done with my assets, and typical stuff in a will, but spell out also if you've got some stuff, we all have stuff, and part of the stuff would be great for child number one, and this other stuff would be better for child number two. Put it down on a piece of paper, and that's why we have the directions, the template in there to deal with that. You don't have to write a whole big book about it, just 4 or 5 lines on what you want done with that, and that becomes an extremely valuable piece of paper.
Well, I think Anita has a really good thought that in the future, when we're talking about writing our own obituary, we really ought to say, if you have a letter you would like to give to one of your family members that expresses your feelings at your passing, write it now and put that in the acetate in your notebook. And then you have an opportunity while you have a clear head and while you're feeling special about the family members, write those items down. And the point that Ken was making about one of the templates, you really, in your will and in your legal documents, you don't want to itemize, I want to give that picture to this sister or this brother or this child, because your feelings may change as time passes. So that's why there are separate sheets that are not physically notarized by the attorney, but they would count at the time of the disposition of your assets. So take a moment to look for those templates in the back of the book, and you can change them right up to the last minute. That's the nice thing about those individual sheets.
Well, I was actually thinking about this. Let me just tell you again, you're listening to Ken and Donna Wright, W-R-I-G-H-T, who did a wonderful, wonderful service, really. It's a book, but it's a great service for people. It's called Suddenly Alone, A Practical Guide to Prepare Yourself and Your Loved Ones for When You Are Suddenly Alone. And you can go to Amazon.com and get the book. Is there another place? Is that where they should go?
Or you can go to authorhouse.com as well, who are the publishers, yes.
Mostly people will go to Amazon and buy it. And what does the book cost?
It's $16.95 at
What a
Amazon
bargain.
plus shipping.
What a bargain. Plus...
Well, Amazon, if you use a membership, you don't pay shipping. But
Right. And, it really, it's so big in the sense. It's a small book, but it's so big.
ANITA, just one other place to get it.
Yeah.
We get more and more requests for these seminars, which we've run in the past. In fact,
tell us about
this Saturday on the 18th of February at the First Presbyterian Church, 10 to 1 o'clock in North Palm Beach, Prosperity Farms Road. We are running a seminar where you can get the book, and we will take you through it. In addition, on March 11th in Palm Beach Gardens, we are running a seminar at St. Mark's Episcopal Church there. We're still setting the time up. I think that one is a 10 to 1 or a 10 to 2. But they can find out by calling the church on that.
You are so generous, but they can also, you have a website though, don't you?
Yes, we do.
Will it have the dates on that website also? Do you put that on there?
Yes, we do. And we also put it on our Facebook page.
Okay, so let's just tell people how they can get it that way.
Okay, our Facebook page is called Suddenly Alone by Ken and Donna Wright.
Okay.
And that's where we post, we posted Anita's review, and we post our upcoming events.
Yeah, that's very important. And you're so generous to do this. I mean, I never heard of anybody giving out their book and doing it. You do this because you have a great heartfelt way about you. And I know you're doing it for humanity. And I appreciate both of you for that, because a lot of people have to be pushed to buy something, and they may not. But once they get this, they
ANITA,
will be so appreciative.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
The reaction we're getting is the reward for us.
Yeah.
And countless times, mostly women have said, thank God I filled this out because I didn't know I'd need it so soon. But even men, men, you got to put detergent in the dishwasher for it to work. We think we know everything, and we really don't. So, when you're alone, some of that stuff can be frustrating as well for a widower.
I'm going to revert something. If I had died instead of Bill, it would have been one giant mess, because I never shared with him all the financial. I mean, that's not something he did. I never shared. I mean, so many things. So if we reverted, if we, changed what happened, I don't even know if this book was going to be good enough for him, because he would have had to have someone come in and help him, or my son or somebody. So I have to do this right away. That's what I was saying.
Heirs, yes.
For our heirs, because, they're busy, and I definitely am going to take that. So when you send me those sheets, I will take time. I can't promise I'm going to do it right now because I have so much to do, but I will do it. It's so beautiful that you've done this, and I know Joe Karp is so appreciative of it, because he does documents, but he doesn't do this. This is the other side of life, really, and you should be so commended. I mean, you should win a Pulitzer Prize for it, actually, because if there's nothing like this, now that I've been that widow, in a sense, I just can't believe it. I mean, credit cards, I have so many. I have credit cards under different people's names. Someone asked me when I was sending in the information on the life insurance. That was interesting. There were questions I really didn't understand or know. I had to call them back again, and then I didn't even remember some things that I had to remember, and it's amazing. And so it has to all go down. So then anybody, because I will die too. I mean, we don't say that, but eventually I'm going to die, even though I insisted he lived to be 100 and he didn't.
Right.
We all are sitting here and we don't know when that contract is up, do we?
No. And the one beautiful thing, the practical thing about using this book in the templates is that we get a 2-inch thick, wide, 3-ring binder. and we get some sheet protectors, those transparent 3-hole punch things you can put in a binder, and we make copies of the templates, and we stick those with the articles they're talking about, whether it's the deed to your house, whether it's all your licenses and titled vehicles, your insurance policy, declaration pages. Copy those and stick them in this notebook. So you've got a 3-ring binder that gets that thick after a while. Don't store your originals in there. Keep them where they're safe, with your lawyer or in your own safe. But that binder now becomes the reference book to go look and see where all those templates are kept.
Yes.
And on each of those templates, we say, where's the original stored?
Oh, you do?
You write, there's
Because
a
you
line
need the
on
original
every
for
one of
certain
the
things, don't you?
templates. Where's the location of the original of this document of which this is a copy? And that makes it eminently usable.
Oh my goodness! So Donna, you're sitting there and you're smiling because this has been a long effort. How long again did this take you to write from the time that the concept of doing this?
To actually write the book, we used the material that we presented in class, and we decided to spread it out over a year and not work on it. We didn't work on it continuously at all. But by rereading the material that we had presented to the attendees, we wrote down the explanations of how to complete the templates. And in many cases, we said, when this particular document comes into play, what to do upon death. Because that's the time that much of the information that's been written down needs to be re-looked at to see now, what do I have to do when the situation did occur?
Well, we're so glad that you came back again today and to do this, and I wish I could force everybody to buy Suddenly Alone, but if not, you can go to their seminars. Just go to Amazon.com and buy it, or go to their Facebook page, Suddenly Alone. Suddenly Alone Facebook?
Ken and Donna Wright.
Okay. Thank you all so much for being here.
Thank you, Anita.